Eventually, we ended up buying our own tools and toys that would allow us to clone credit cards and have people working in stores and stealing thousands of credit card details monthly. Any father out there who's committing crime and you've got young kids looking at you, you should be ashamed of yourself. The wealth that you have is thousands of years old and it's been part of creating all of the infrastructure that now we all take part in every day.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Now, have you ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio, where he plays the role of Frank Abagnale, the serial fraudster who eventually turns himself in and then works with the FBI? Well, this is a similar story. Tony Sales is Britain's greatest fraudster. He's a social engineering expert. Tony was one of the very few people to have ever worked at the summits of both organised crime and fraud and loss prevention. Dubbed Britain's greatest fraudster by the British media, clearly anyone with such a unique skill set is intrinsically valuable to almost any major organisation. Tony now provides advice to some of the world's leading brands and banks on their fraud and loss prevention strategies. The work that Tony undertakes is not just theoretical or academic, his objectives are clear. Fraud and other financial crime prevention and opening people's eyes to what they don't see. He's the co-founder of We Fight Fraud. He leads all operations and is a popular media figure due to his ability to articulate threats, vulnerabilities, and solutions. He's a TV regular on BBC's Watchdog and Channel 5's Nailing the Fraudsters, among other shows. Tony Sales is epic, and I know you're going to love this guy. Cue the music. Let's get into it. Megaverse, the digital frontier of tomorrow. Megaverse stands at the cutting-edge intersection of technology and imagination. It's a virtual realm where the limitless expanse of the digital universe unfolds, offering users unparalleled experiences and interactions. With its advanced metaverse platform, users can craft unique avatars, forge connections, and even establish their own digital estates. It's more than just virtual reality. Megaverse is an expansive digital civilization teeming with opportunities for both individuals and brands. From immersive concerts to revolutionary retail experiences, Megaverse is redefining the way we engage with the digital world. As we stand on the brink of a new era where the lines between our physical reality and the digital realm blur, Megaverse is poised to lead the charge in this brave new world. Dive in and discover a universe without bounds. This really is the future.
And lastly, thank you to Najahi Events, who have been sponsoring us now on the podcast for over a year. Najahi bring motivational speakers to the region to help inspire, educate, and motivate you to achieve better success and live a better life.
Tony, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've been wanting to get you for a while, and I've been talking to you for the last 10 minutes before we started, and I'm already going, I've got thousands of questions for you. But obviously, a lot of people in the Middle East are going to hear about you for the first time.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to give them a really good understanding of your story so they know exactly who you are. And maybe we can just take it from the beginning, childhood, and what happened from there onwards.
Yeah, sure. I was born in a place called Greenwich in southeast London. And 2 days old, my mum and dad both kind of leave. My mum's 17, my dad's a little bit older. But my dad's not really going to be with my mum. And my mum's young. She wants to have a bit of fun. So luckily enough for me, my nan stood up and took care of me, right up until in adulthood, really. But that creates a whole load of issues within a person that, as a kid, you don't really see. You don't really understand the issues that are being created because your parents have left. It wouldn't be till years later I would find out, damn, that was the trigger that caused it. So very quickly, at like 7 years old, my uncle, him and his mates, there was like a pub that had been shut actually for about a week. Yeah, it had been shut down for a week. But there was all the stock was still left in there. So they knew this. So they literally just took me up on the roof and tied a bit of rope around me. And there was like a hatch. It's actually still there. I went and looked the other day. Yeah. So there's a hatch in the roof, and they lifted the hatch And they just literally lowered me in to the pub, and I just walked over and opened the door, and I was 7 when that happened. And then I got a bag of pop and a packet of spags. Thanks. So then, like I was kind of immersed in crime, and then I came from a poverty family. My nan didn't really have much money. The plimp. I used to wear the 199 plimp soles and be the kid that everyone teased and all of that stuff. And that creates something within you that makes you think about things in a different way. Yeah. So like naturally I know now that I'm different. I'm not like the other kids. I don't have a mum and dad. I don't have the access to Nikes and Adidas, and I don't have that stuff, right? How do I get it? Like, how can I get that stuff? I tried shoplifting. I didn't like it. Yeah, it just felt a bit too much for me. Like, I don't know. There was just something, I tried it and got caught the second time I done it. And so that was kind of I don't like that. That seems too, how can I get around that? And then we found sponsorship forms, my peer group, my mates, that were all around me. We would go door to door, and 1 week we would do a sponsored jump, a sponsored swim, a sponsored run, a sponsored skate, a sponsored whatever it was to steal their money. And that just kind of really, you start, you're just nicking people's money, you're making a few quid, but it's not upscalable enough. You can't upscale that in that way. You have to, how do you, as a criminal, you're always looking for ways of upscale to get to mega bucks, right? So like as a kid, when I'm doing this stuff, we're 12, 13 when we're doing that. We're always looking for other ways. And then we would just try different types of things. And then I met a geezer when I was 15 who he gave us some debit and credit cards. It was called Track 2 information that was like on the back of a Premier Points card, Argos Premier Points
What, the
card.
magnetic strip?
Yeah, the magnetic strip it is on the back, yeah? And that's called a Track 2. So this guy gave us some and said, look, if you know any people that work internally in any shops, you can swipe me through, go through for 50, 100 quid. I'll sell you the cars for 30 quid and like you can go a few times. So I took a few of these things, like he gave them to us and just like was like, go and see. And then like, because I don't mind talking and I'll talk my way in and like, all right, do you want to earn a few quid on the side? And then all of a sudden you've got internal members of staff that are willing to swipe those cards through and give you cash back for it. So I built up a good little network of that. But again, there's only so far that you can go with that. Yeah. How do you upscale that process of being able to get out there to everyone? And then eventually we ended up buying our own tools and toys that would allow us to clone credit cards and have people working in stores and stealing thousands of credit card details monthly. And that kind of run for a few years, and I dipped in and out of crime. I tried to become straight. I realised, this is not a good life, that you don't want to be leading, you don't want to get, and I battled through that throughout, my teens right through to my early 20s, late 20s, learning about crime in all different ways. Eventually I would be doing mortgage frauds and working for organised crime rings. When people steal their money, they would run off with, the crime group that I work with, they would run off with their money. And then the boys would show up, the enforcers, and instead of killing them, they would bring them to me. And I'd say, okay, so how do we work out how we get this money back that you've stolen? And that's where my job lied. And so by doing that, I learned how to pull multiple scams. I learned how to do multiple things, I'm playing with people with real ID that we don't have to worry about if police are coming because these people are doing it anyway, yeah? So I learn all of the triggers. Every single nook and cranny can ask real hard questions of the people that I'm doing this stuff at and see what the answers are coming back. So my fraud brain is growing massively and acquiring knowledge like never before, and that was lethal. And I carried on doing that for years. So, and then again, I kind of, I'd done, we used to go and get TVs. Like people always used to laugh at me, like, why are you getting tellies? Like, I used to say, because they're £3 each. Like, and I know if I get 10, that's 15 grand in one day. How many days you got to do to get one of these transfer things? Because back then, what they call account takeovers now was like a new thing, yeah? It was like, it wasn't kind of popping in that way. And I'd do them, but they weren't really that great. They were hit and miss. So I'm a man that likes consistency. Like in any business, yeah, I want to keep it consistent. So I've got wages to pay. I've got vehicles on the road, fuel, tax, insurance, all of these right things that I have to have as a running business. I've got a whole load of outlay, so I have to have consistency. So if I got 10 tellers a day and 3 of my mates get 10 tellers a day, we're into a lot of money in one day, more than any of them account transfers back then.
Where were you getting the tellers from?
All different types of places. So back then you had like Alders, you had House of Fraser.
So they're warehouses?
These were, so no, they're not warehouses. They're department stores. Yeah, so you
take them out of the department stores?
Yeah, instant. Go up, get the credit instantly and just walk out with a telly. Because otherwise, like, if you're really into crime, a bank robber doesn't go into the bank and go, I'm going to leave the money here and come back and pick it up in a minute. They're taking it out there and then, yeah? Like, so I'm still in that mode then of I want it now, here and now, and quick cash, for me, always served me quite well, you know? Very quickly, you can accumulate a mass of money. You know, I remember one weekend, me and my mate went and we just hammered it, me and him, yeah. We just went to one specific part of the UK with 3 vans and just me and him. I called my brother, he took a van, I took a van, and I called my brother who had a big Luton down and we just hit it. And at the end of it, I had enough money to buy 10 vans and open up a van hire business. Yeah, like, because it was that easy back then, you know, and I'm causing devastation that I don't even realise I'm causing, like, because I'm so locked in my own selfish ways at that time that I don't care about no one else, I care about me. It's my survival and where I need to get to. I'm totally locked in survival of humanity at that point. So that journey was crazy, you know, like, and it ended with me getting caught in Sheffield where they took down like a whole load of us. And, you know, I would then, on that one, I jumped bail and went on the run for 6 years. So I stayed as a fugitive for 6 years. Just kind of, I calmed everything down. I would do little bits and pieces here and there, but I just calmed everything down. I had accumulated quite a bit of wealth. I had enough money to stay on the run and stay as a fugitive. I rented loads of different properties, and when you're doing what I was doing, money really wasn't a problem. Like, a lot of criminals struggle to get money. You have different levels of criminal, a bit like the class system that we was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You have the same thing in crime, right? So you've got the class system within crime. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I started at the floor,
yeah,
and I worked my way up to the very top, yeah, of where you're involved with people with things that are happening, but learning all that stuff through that progress, yeah, and it changes you as a person. Being on the run, having all that stuff happen to you, you know, like, it really changes how you are and your DNA.
Talk to me about being on the run, because I met Ronnie Biggs when I lived in Brazil years and years ago, and obviously he's a great train robber and he'd been on the run for all that time, and I met his son and whatnot, and you know, he would recount stories of what it was like. But you know, if you look at then to see the movie where Buster's out there and all that kind of stuff's taking place, and they can't be away for that long because they miss home and stuff.
Yeah.
Where did you go? What did it feel like? And what did you miss more than anything else?
So I didn't have to go nowhere. I stayed here. I'm a fraudster who's capable to make IDs. So when you've got the skill that I've got, it's very easy to just change who you are like that. Okay. Yeah. So that's exactly what I've done. I went to Ronnie Biggs' funeral. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Ronnie, but I've got a really good friend who knew Ronnie really well. I got to hear some of his stories from his closest friends of stuff that has happened. So I was never in that league of, you know, that's not, he spent so many years of his life on the run, you know, but he built a different life. And all I can say is that after the first probably year, your brain changes. You kind of, the worry that you've got every day of being caught goes away. And where he would have been so far detached until they try to get him back, yeah, and like all the stories that, you know, there's some naughty stories about how they try to manipulate to get him back, would have been terrifying for him. But again, he's had training his whole life for these moments, yeah. Mm-hmm. So like, this is what I was saying to you previously. When someone like me goes to jail, I'm not scared of prison, because my whole life has been building towards it, yeah? Mm-hmm. Like, there's no change. So if, like what I was saying to you, if you think of a life as a Monopoly board, you know, I'm born in the brown part, yeah, and prison's facing me, definitely, yeah. I wasn't born in this part, or this part, yeah. Here's the money.
Let's make sure that the ones that aren't watching this but listening to this can understand it. So, because I think it's really contextual and really important.
Yeah.
So, on a monopoly board, a British monopoly board anyway, I think we start with the Old Kent Road, don't we?
Old Kent Road, yeah.
Okay, and then we go around to blue, which I think is
Pentonville, yeah.
And so that side of the monopoly board, the top corner there is where the jail is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah?
Right.
And so just in that top corner. So as you go past the start go, you go past essentially the more working class areas.
Exactly.
Up to the jail, and then as you go away from the jail,
it's
essentially
behind you. The prison that is now behind you.
It slowly
can
gets
still
better.
happen to you, but the further you go round into the riches of the monopoly board, so as you finally get round to
Park Lane and Mayfair,
it's extremely difficult to go backwards to prison because the amount of wealth that you've accumulated is going to allow you to stay away from that. In fact, the wealth that you have is thousands of years old and it's been part of creating all of the infrastructure that now we all take part in every day.
But also, you have to pay to get out of jail on a monopoly board. So with the wealth that you've created from your houses and your hotels in Mayfair, it's a piece of cake if you've got to pay to get out. Whereas on the Old Kent Road, it's a big chunk of change.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Okay. That's what
a
great example.
Done perfectly.
Okay.
It shows it in a perfect way. And socially engineering, which is what I talk about consistently. Governments around the world worked out how to socially engineer all of us long before I worked out how to use it against people. Yeah, because it's really important that we have control of people. Because if we just had a whole load of people being able to do what they want, like over the years I've had arguments with prison abolishing people, where they talk about abolishing prisons, and I said, well, are you going to deal with the really bad ones when they come out then? Because the fact of it is there are some really bad criminals that we can never let out, of course. But you have to look at the level of trauma that they would have experienced. Because there's not one criminal on the planet, that doesn't experience some form of that made me do it. That's just the reality of what we are as a society, right? And so Desire, there's a really good show on Netflix, I don't know how much Netflix you guys get over in the Middle East, but it's called The Chimp Empire. It's brilliant, because it shows you how chimpanzees act as part of their society. There's natural hierarchy, there's violence, there's control, there's all of the social engineering. So there's one part of it where a chimp comes over to one of the other chimps to get some food of where they've just killed some monkeys that are up in the trees, right? And they totally shun him because they want him to feel the pain of, no, you've behaved badly. And so that is part of our natural process as humans to do that. And there's people that will be controlled by that continuously. These are the bits that criminals tap into constantly.
Interesting. Okay, so you're on the run. You've got a family?
Yeah, I've got a family, yeah.
And so the family are with you?
The family are with me. They don't know they're on the run.
So no one knows they're on the run?
No.
And are you moving across the country bit by bit, or are you just moving around around London?
I'm just staying in the suburbs of London. And just staying out. I kind of got a name that I can drive around in. I've got a car all registered in that name. I've got properties all registered in my aliases, to see, because if the police go to one of the aliases, I'm kind of going to know in my head. I thought I'm going to know where they are in their investigation. Not that you could ever know where they are in their investigation, but at that time, that's what my thinking was.
So how old were you when that was happening?
I was in my early 30s.
And apart from you and maybe the CPS, because you'd skipped bail, did your community of friends and acquaintances know that you were on the run?
My organised crime gang knew that I was on the run.
They knew?
Yeah, they knew that I was on the run. Because you need protection. You can only tell certain people, right? Because, when you get, there's grasses, there's all different types of people that are gonna try and, you get haters, right? Even though you're not trying to get no haters, you get a hater, and the hater will absolutely try and stab you in the back as many times as you can. So you've got to be really careful about who you tell your secrets to. So I had a trusted network and different people from different places that I could trust, not everyone together. So if something happened there, I could trigger a move over there. If something happened there, I could go over there, But once I got with once I was with my boys, it was all right. You just kind of didn't really worry about any of that stuff. They would drive, I would be my name. I got stopped by the police loads of times, never ever once triggered it. There was one woman police officer that once said, "You look like someone, I don't know who it is." She went, "But you really look like someone." But she accepted the fake name that I gave and sent me upon my way. And then when it comes to an end, I was in a petrol garage in Essex, and I'd gone there to see one of my mates, and just two eagle-eyed coppers had just spotted a poster up of me within their whatever, and I walked in. I was wearing shorts, flip-flops, driving, and the copper come over to me and he just went, "What's your name?" And I gave him the Moody name, yeah, and he just literally said something must have happened, yeah, it must have been flagged. So I changed my name in Essex, yeah, and I think that solicitor had then flagged something, yeah, into that with the going on the run stuff. It must have, by the time it's all filtered down, it's now triggered into that bit, yeah. And the copper said, "There's 2 warrants out for your arrest." I said, "Oh no, not for me." Right, and he went, "No, definitely for you, mate." Like that. So I said, "Oh, really?" Like that. So he went, "Yeah." So he went, "Just come over here for a minute. We just want to search us." So like, he then cuffed me. Yeah. And once he cuffed me, I was like, "Look, just let me have a fag. Can I have a cigarette?" And he let me have a cigarette. And then we once we got back to the station, he was like, "Oh my God, like you've been on the run for years." I said, "I've had enough." Like I was just kind of like, I actually done that on the spot. I literally fainted because when it's all there, like it's all over.
The lie's over.
The lie is over. I don't have to lie to no one no more. Yeah. And I've been keeping up all these shenanigans for all this time. It just absolutely destroys you mentally. Like it really does. Yeah. Like I was emotional. So I got in the police station and so I come in the police station and let's say the police station is just outside where we was, right? So I've kind of looked at the cop and went, "Look, I've just got to go upstairs and get your paperwork. I'll be back down in a minute." Yes. I said, "No worries. There's a door like this. So with a little window." So I look through the window, there's a phone on the table. So I just quickly tried the door's open. I slid in there and just dialed 9, got an outside line and called my missus, yeah, and just blabbered. No, I was just in tears, yeah, because I'm just like, "Look, this has just been going on for so long. I've had enough. Like, oh, I'm just really sorry." Like, she's just like, "What? What?
Can't believe it.
What are you talking about? I thought you dealt with that all them years ago." And I'm like, "Nah, I told you I dealt with it." But look, so then she didn't talk to me for months until she come to visit me, and then I got out a little while after she come to visit me anyway.
So did you go on remand or did
So I only went on remand for 3 days because the judge that I jumped bail from had requested that we go back in front of him.
Mhm.
But what had happened was, in my absence, the judge had set a precedent. Yeah. So one of my co-defendants had a cancer scare. Like he was fully on as cancer, he's got it, yeah? So the judge took leniency on him because he was an older man. But by doing that, he set a precedent within the sentencing. Yeah, so there was 2 of us outstanding there's 3 of us outstanding on the run, yeah? One went to Spain, the other one stayed here with me, but just kind of worked about, and then the other one got caught first. And then the judge gave him 21 months, but set his position as number 1 in the conspiracy. So now I dropped down. The par was the same as the other guy who just got 18 months probation. Yeah. So in actual fact, the whole time, I'd never, ever, ever have gone on the run if I'd have known that I was going to get 12 months. Yeah. I would have just gone and dealt with it. Because like I said, I don't care about prison. I'm not scared of it.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get 5 years. Yeah. At the beginning, this is what my brief was telling me. Right. And then my wife got pregnant with my daughter. And there was no way I was going to miss the bonding period with my daughter. I'm a man who's got 3 sons. Yeah, I'm finally getting a girl. Yeah, I'm not going to miss that period with her. So I took the opportunity and run. And when I was caught, I explained that to the judge. Yeah, and the judge took leniency on me because he believed my story. Do you know what I mean? And that was it. So I got 12 months, and then 6 months later I was out. It was a bit less than that. It was 4 months, I think, because I lost a little bit, and then tag stuff happened, and there's just like a whole load of rubbish that happens around all that stuff. So when my wife comes to visit me, she brings my son, who's now just finished university. Same as me. He's the first in my family to do that. Yeah. She's holding his hand, and he's just crying as they walk into the visiting hall, and I'm looking over. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, and then she comes over and I said, "What's up with him?" She goes, "What do you think was up with him? You're in prison. He's not spent no time with his dad. Why do you think he's upset?" And like at that moment, kind of everything just in my head was just, do I want to continue my life making my kids ashamed of what I'm doing or upsetting my own kids, pushing my trauma that I've got to my kids, right? Knowing that as a man, as a father, knowing that, what sort of man or father would I be if I continued that journey? You know, like, that's not good. Like, and any father out there who's committing crime and you've got young kids looking at you, you should be ashamed of yourself, because the reality is when you come out of that zone in your mind, that crime really doesn't pay. No matter how much money you get, I got to more money than most criminals are ever going to get to in their life, apart from the ones right at the very top of the tree, right? What did it achieve? What did I get out of that? You know, I don't get, I'm not interested in being who's the toughest, who's the hardest, talking on a million podcasts, saying my story a million times, telling people how good I am at what I do. It's not me. That's not in me to be like that. Yeah, I'm not here to do them things.
I can empathise with that. You know, you're sitting there. It's almost like you become ashamed because of what you've done, because of the impact it has on your children. And you know what kid would want to have to keep saying their dad's in jail?
Yeah.
Was that line in the sand that was like never to be broken again?
Yeah.
Or was it a line in the sand that you did creep over occasionally for a period of time?
No, you can't creep over that line. It's not a game. It's not. I'm not joking about it. It's not. I'm not pretending to be an ex-con like some of the others that are out there pretending. Yeah, when they're all really up to naughtiness in the background. Yeah, just pointless, right?
So making that decision, you know, I'll give other examples of human psychology. There was a woman a couple of years ago that won Slimmer of the Year. And she lost more weight than anybody else in the UK, whatever it was. She was sitting, eating at McDonald's in the car park of some McDonald's. Two kids came past, threw their burgers in her face through the window. Said, "Have that too, fatso." And in that moment, she was like, never again. Like, never again. And up until that point, she'd always had problems with her diet and food and overweight and obesity and stuff. But it was like, never again. And for me, it's like, and then she went on and she's completely changed her life, because that one moment was so significant for her. You seeing your boy crying, that had such significance to you, that feeling that he would be ashamed of his dad or embarrassed for his dad or whatever that might be, was so significant for you that it was like, never again.
Yeah, like, I suppose if you work out when it happens and it's your own flesh and blood there crying in front of you, yeah, you have to think, I've done that. That's me that's caused that. I'm here. He's crying because I'm here. You have to think about that logically and think, well, how do I stop that? Or how do I make that better? Money ain't made it better because he's had money. He's had every game, every console, everything that he's ever needed. He's still crying. I'm still pushing trauma onto him, yeah? What's going to stop that? The reality is, what's going to stop that is his dad being there for him throughout his life, constantly trying to give, because if he thinks I'm a clown who's got no worth in the society because I'm constantly in and out of jail, how can he hold any respect for who I am? Yeah, so I have to show him, look, I've been through a whole load of stuff, son. Yeah, my life's traumatized massively, but look, I'm going to show you what it takes to really pull yourself together and change what you are. Yeah, because by changing who you are, I'm changing how he perceives me as his father, and so do all my other kids. You know,
and potentially their outcomes in life too.
Exactly, yeah, and that moves on to all of them, and so that's impact for my own family, which is what all I could have hoped for. I didn't want to create, like people say, you know, we do this to make change. Like most of these people that talk about making change are talking about themselves. Yeah, they're talking about what they're doing in I'm doing this and I'm doing that. You know, I don't talk about I'm doing. Yeah, I just let you see it.
How long did it take you from that moment to start planning and saying to yourself, my future is going to look different, how it's going to look different, and what impact you felt you needed to make?
I actually went back to the wing and I said, right, I'm going to work in loss prevention. And they're like, those three guys just looked at me as if to say, what are you talking about, you madman? Yeah, like, so, you know, I was kind of, once I'd changed, I knew that I wanted to work in preventing fraud somehow, right? I just knuckled down in jail. I started playing tennis and short tennis.
In jail?
In jail, yeah. So you get like I was in a D category jail in the end, yeah. So I finished up there, and that kind of like was where she come to visit me, yeah. So by the time it's there, she's come to visit me in open surroundings, and it was much better because we got to talk about all the stuff that had happened, right? And me explain to my son and tell him all of that stuff. But when I go back, I then know that, okay, I have to train, I have to get my mind right, because all this time I've been thinking about who I am and what I want and my needs and what I care about. Yeah. I haven't taken into consideration my own family, and now what do I want to portray to people that I am in what I'm doing? Like, so once you've been in the position that I've been in, it's really difficult to come out of jail and go to a bank and go, hey, my name's Tony, I'd like to help you with your loss prevention strategies. Just kind of don't work, yeah? And so I did try that, and I reached out to a couple of conferences, and no one was really interested in the beginning. And then I went to this conference, it was at London Bridge, and I met a guy who's still a friend today, a guy called Alan Smith. And it was, I met this company that were doing like what's really an OTP now, so a one-time passcode, yeah, but this is kind of like the very early days of it, yeah? And we was talking, and like they were like, oh, you was an ex-criminal. I said, yeah, I've just, I've been out a couple of years for fraud, blah, 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 blah. But I've got some really good ideas. Like I think you're going in a direction that's wrong. And they're all looking like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, how do you mean that we're wrong? Because they just couldn't see the stuff that they see now. It was very different then. So I then applied to talk at some conferences, got knocked back, and then through chance, I met a journalist called Graham Johnson, who at the time was doing some stuff for a company called VBS TV, which would then turn into Vice. Yeah. And I made a documentary with them called How to Get Away with Stealing, which just basically showed the world how far you are behind. And if you're thinking that it's this is what's really happening. Yeah. And that went viral. And that, I mean, like, I didn't even know. I'm not even looking at it. No, because I just done me. Yeah, I don't care about all that. I'm not looking at it, watching it or anything. Yeah, and it's one of my mates things, and he goes, bruv, that thing's got 4 million views. I was like, what? He went, it's got 4 million views, bruv. Go and look at it. So then when I went and looked at it, it had like 20,000 comments. I was like, wow, like this is just going mad. And then a geezer called DPR shared it. Right, and DPR is the Dread Pirate Roberts, for those of you that don't know.
Dread
Pirate Roberts, yeah. So his name's Ross Ulbricht, yeah. So Ross is serving a prison sentence for today for creating something called the Silk Road, yeah, which I'm sure that many people have heard about, right? His last shared video is my video. So if you go onto his YouTube page today, you can still see it. It's got How to Get Away with Stealing. It's still his last shared video. So that showed me that the fraud community, the underworld fraud community, and the new community that's out there is absolutely understanding everything that I'm saying, because what I'd spotted, it's all about data. Yeah, this thing of data, and I've been consuming it, stealing it, using it since I was a kid. Yeah, so I'm totally immersed in this data world, yeah, and understanding all the stuff you can do with it. And that's really powerful, yeah? Like that becomes a really powerful tool for a big enterprise level corporate, yeah? To say to them, look, you've got this problem. Have you seen it? Yeah? And so slowly I started to, after that documentary, I literally just sent it to a conference director who said, we'd love to have you to speak. And that kickstarted everything. It just kind of set it on its way, you know. I was still really naive and didn't really understand how the legitimate side of business worked, because in the past, if I had a problem, I just send the boys around and the deal gets done. Yeah. This is like a different side of it. Yeah, like I have to be really calm and collected and understand each person's need and why they're acting in that way and gain trust and all of these things. And so I've been doing this now for over a decade, and I've gained some amazing colleagues. I've gained some amazing people in my life that have absolutely changed the way that I think, that's led to changes within society. You know, like fraud now is in a much better place because of the stuff that I spoke about. And that's just a fact. No matter whether anyone likes it or not, that's just a fact. I predicted ransomware attacks before it happened. I've got the evidence of predicting it. And the thousands of people that would have seen me speak in 2011, because I've done conferences everywhere talking about this stuff. Everyone used to talk about big data and how it was amazing. And I come along and went, look, I'm going to steal it. And once I've done that, you lot are in trouble. And that was the first time they'd heard that, yeah? And I said that if I was a criminal in today's age, instead of kidnapping people and holding them for ransom, I would do that to their data. In 2013, the first ransomware attack happens. And today, it is the number one crime on the planet. And that's because, you know, it's such an obvious migration of crime. It really is, yeah?
Okay, but a lot of people won't understand that. So let's give the audience a little bit of context, or maybe a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about data and ransomware. Give me a very typical example of what that would look like.
So let's say, for instance, you receive an email, that comes through into your email inbox, yeah? It looks like it's from Spencer and his podcast, yeah? But really, there's a hyphen in it that you didn't check, right? You click on the link. Spencer's asking, can you just update your payment information? Yeah? Of course I can. So now you go in and you update your payment information. Or I've sent it to one of your staff as part of the company, and can you update your payroll information? Please log into the portal now. Once you do that, you're logging into a portal that's controlled by a hacker in the background, right? You've gone onto a spoof site that looks exactly the same, yeah? It doesn't look any different. It functions exactly the same as what you think. No spelling mistakes like they all think that there is. They're a different kind of phishing that they're looking for, yeah? These targeted ransomware attacks are specifically, purposefully to take over an administrator's role within a company and lock their data down, encrypt it, so they can then call you up and say, hey, do you want to buy your data back? I've got it, yeah? And now so most enterprise level companies around the world spend millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to prevent this stuff, yeah? Trying to stop this happening. And no one's ever going to tell you they've securely done it. That's because there is no fix. It's us that is the weakest link, and that's how we get better. So if I can now utilize, and I know all that stuff, right, I can send you a phishing email that's going to get me access to your system, that will allow me to encrypt your data, that will allow me to ransomware you for Bitcoin, yeah? So that's what's happening on a massive scale. And of course, the other side of it is you have social engineering, which is where people here in the UK, we've had a massive onslaught of people claiming to be calling you from your bank. So they'll call you up, they'll say, look, I'm calling you from your bank. If you check the back of your card, you can check that the number's me. And that's what they call phone spoofing. Again, in the same presentation where I said data was the new cash a decade ago, I told everyone, look, I actually rung a person up from what I devised was a Wi-Fi hack, yeah? I got some information and I was able to get a telephone number. From the telephone number, I was able to ring the victim and coerce them into giving me their credit card information. That in a real attack would have led to me diverting their mail, opening up a bank account, and ultimately stealing their home from. All cyber attacks have a physical human element within them. There's no computers on the planet serving prison sentences anywhere. If there are, I'd like to go and visit them. Because there just isn't, you know, it's always a human behind it. So as long as we bear that in mind, we're up against another human, you can start to make people more aware of this stuff, yeah? But criminals get smarter and the attacks don't stop. You know, they continue to come.
What are the most common scams that are taking place nowadays? What are the ones that we see happening more than anything else?
So at the moment, I'd say it's phone spoofing, because they know that's kind of on its last knockings, as they call it.
Oh, really?
It's not for the criminal. They'll be moving on, because the more resources that get thrown at that part of it, they'll move on to a different scam. And I always say this to people: there are no new scams, by the way. Everything is an old scam with a new spin, right? Mm-hmm. So phishing, back in the old days, you used to have something called Spanish letters, where they put loads of letters in bottles and just send them out. It's a phishing campaign. If you look at what that is today, you know, a phishing campaign for a fraudster is, I'll send out thousands of emails. That's one of our scams that can happen, yeah? Clicking on, understanding what you're clicking on. As society, we don't like to click when we think something's malicious. But the truth of this thing is, to get a one-click hack is state. Okay? A normal hacker is going to find that extremely difficult to do, especially these wally ones that run around on Facebook stealing people's identity, yeah? Those are not really serious state hackers, okay? These state hackers can do one-click vulnerabilities. They're extremely rare. They're going to target politicians, all those kind of people, yeah? For the normal people like us, when you get a malicious link, it's going to ask you to click it. When you click it, it's going to ask you to put information in. So if you go on Facebook, Instagram, any of these things, and you receive a message and you click it and it asks you, please log into the platform, whether it be Insta, Facebook, any of that stuff, don't do it. Because if you're logged in on your phone should be, if it's a reputable site, it has a plugin in the background that allows it to sync. Single sign in and away it goes. Yeah? That's what's meant to happen. If you're coming outside of that, I'm not saying that it could be a bad company, but the likelihood is it probably is. So understand where you put your passwords and email addresses, yeah? And they're the sort of scams that you'll see coming. So that's probably the biggest one that people see is their social media getting hacked, listener-wise, right? And phishing-wise. That's what happens. And then you've got the WhatsApp messages, mum, dad, I need help. Can you send me some money? They're really high up on the list at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, they're really high up on the list at the moment. There's so many. You know, like I said, people claiming to be from banks. Invoice fraud. So if you're a company, invoice fraud, actually the number one growing crime, I think, here in the UK. I'm sure I heard a stat like that the other day. I'm pretty sure in the Middle East it will be quite high because it pops up out of Singapore. It's such a sophisticated crime. Yeah, but again, it's just social engineering. Can you pay this invoice? Set us up as a payer, pay the invoice. These are real things that happen that we see every day, yeah? I always say to people, if someone's ringing you and they're trying to cause you fear or panic or putting you under pressure, it's normally a scam. Investment scams are happening. Pension scams are continuously happening. You know, the scammers are continuously looking to take people's money in whatever way that they can.
And a lot of that has got to do with society. And I talk about this a lot. There seems to be three things that if you're selling anything for a living, there's three things that people want to buy and you make a lot of money selling them. One would be a tablet that people could lose 20 kilos in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That'd be a big seller. Another one would be 1 million followers. Everyone wants 1 million followers.
Yeah.
And the other one is get rich quick. Everyone wants to make a lot of money quickly.
Yeah.
And so if you can provide some form of sales pitch, okay, where you can promote how you can, make a load of money very quickly, people get sucked into it. Cryptocurrency was the greatest example of that in recent years, greed, absolutely. Yeah. People get sucked in. They're like, hold on a minute, if I put £1,000 in Bitcoin, it could be £25,000 in 4 weeks.
I actually did a masterclass on it called the 7 Deadly Sins of Social Engineering.
Okay.
So because these are pressure points that you can push as a criminal, guilt, love, they're all there, and they're all trigger points. If you're trying to manipulate someone into giving you their money, these are things that we should all be conscious of when your bank is never going to put you under pressure. Yeah, they're not going to put you into a position where you've got to do it right now. That's the reality of it. And there's a myth that your banks will never call you. Well, my bloody bank calls me every day.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about? Yeah. So let's stop getting that myth because that's confusing the message across the board as well.
Yeah.
And people, once we do confusion, we're going to have half and half. Well, the half that are confused, the fraudster still hits them. The other half that might think about it and get themselves out of it are a bit more aware of the knowledge that they've got. But the confusion that comes in through a lot of media stuff that's creates and continues to push the problem. And, the Sunday text that we all got here in the UK, the warning text. So they've done a warning text here a couple of Sundays ago.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, where they text the whole country. I mean, I was like, what a great one for a fraudster. So the next day in my PowerPoint presentation that I do to corporates, I showed them, look, this is what I could do. If I do this is how it's going to look. And I just literally change the message to click here and add your information. And now, it doesn't matter if it's a text. Most people don't know that comes via a different service, MMS, and it isn't going to go through your text service and it's going to be this or that. Most people are not even listening to that bit. And so you tap into it, There was iSpoof, they've done a really good one where the police text out saying, can you can you text this number if you was a victim in? I mean, the criminal's just going to jump straight on that with another number saying, please text your information here, because that's what they do. But the police have to do that stuff because they want to get the people in. But then you see loads of people sharing it, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh no, this is just, imagine, and we won't have seen that happen yet, you know, because the time hasn't caught up with that. That's still ongoing, but I can guarantee you that that's going to come out in a bit because it's so obvious.
Catch Me If You Can, the movie with
It's a great film.
Leonardo DiCaprio when he was busy doing the funniest part of that I always thought was because I come from an era where I used to make model aeroplanes and I used to put the stickers on the wings and stuff when I was a kid. It was how they used to take those transfers off and put them on the checks on. Whether that was real or not, I don't know, but I liked it in the movie.
Yeah. He
went then on to essentially provide a service to the FBI where he could identify frauds that were taking place. When you look at the essentially the skills that you learn along the way, your skills became really valuable to the other side because you could see what they couldn't see.
Yeah, I mean, my business partner today is the ex-head of fraud for the Metropolitan Police. So, I mean, he will tell you that he worked as a, you know, high-ranking police officer for a lot of years, right? He was in the police force for 30 years, right? And he'll tell you that you can't think like me, like, because he's seen it. You know, we go and test big businesses of where we get, you know, a big business will, and we're starting to move into smaller businesses now because they need help, right? So I've just made an offering for them just so that, because
here's what I was going to say. That is, if I came to you and I said, right, I've got this situation. So just so you know some of my background, I own a wealth management business in Dubai.
Yeah.
A fully regulated, licensed, official business. However, lots of times people come to us with different products and services, say, we'd like you to sell this to your clients, and whatnot. And we have a rigorous process.
Yeah.
However, there are people that get caught out by scams.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that they invest a lot of money into something that isn't real. They see the marketing material. They then see the PowerPoint presentation or the terms and conditions, and they read that through. And with their limited understanding of the legal jargon that goes with it, they then entrust their money into it because it's going to pay them X% return over a period of time, whatever it may be. Do you help companies or help individuals that have those types of problems? So let's say I came to you and I've been scammed out of £1 million.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not interested in investigations because that million's gone, right?
Okay.
What I'm interested in is stopping that from happening. Yeah.
So you take the knowledge that's gathered through that scam and you say, right, how do I in the future make sure that can't ever be done again?
Exactly. Yeah. So then you kind of then lock everything down. You know, a lot of what I do in today will be a bank will come to us, for instance, and they'll say, okay, look, we've got a problem with onboarding. We're taking on clients. Can you have a look at our onboarding process for us? So we'll look. And then very quickly we were able to open up a bank account and start functioning using the bank account to put funds through so we could be showing money laundering, you know, like all of these things because the KYC, to know your customer or know your criminal, as we call it.
I've never heard it called that before. KYC, know your client, but know your criminal. Good, yeah.
So we kind of like show it in a different light. So it's very difficult to articulate the messages needed for an individual, the boredom levels. If you're working and it's part of your work, tick box training is notoriously boring. Yeah, I figured out a way of making it really exciting. Yeah, and that's because of Crooks. So I write a drama series called Crooks, which it shows you all of the little red flags, but it's like Hollywood level. Yeah, this is like higher quality, really high end Netflix drama. Yeah, that shows you in a way that's so simple, but then in the background we show the enterprises of how to lock down on it all, and how this needs to be stopped. This is where it starts. This is how you get there, and just give them all of that add-ons to their tick box training that they're meant to be doing every day. So raising awareness is key to helping other people, you know, taking those stories, like I said, and playing them out within a drama or talking about them in a different way allows awareness to be risen in that way. So that's how I would help those sort of people that have lost more money, or put them in touch with the reporting process that they need to do. Yeah, we have a community at We Fight Fraud that's free to everyone. Everyone can join it once a month. We do a Q&A with me and Solomon, who's my other business partner. So Solomon's a 25-year-old Asperger's super hacker who is a genius. He's just never play him against chess. He's just unbelievable. So he allows us to show how hacks take place, and what hacks take place and how it's possible, and in a way that's really good because he understands all of it and all of the things that are going on, and how he does his stuff and how we do our stuff is different to how the rest of the industry acts. There are some really good testing companies out there that test companies as well, but we're all kind of different and we're all in different spaces. So awareness, training, testing, all of these things that we can do for companies, you can't do them unless it's a high net worth individual. High net worth individuals are people in much need of them sort of tests, because you have to understand the vulnerabilities. These things are an absolute nightmare when you know how to do what we can do with them. Yeah, and unless you've got cybersecurity on your phone, you really are at risk. That's just the reality of it if you're connecting to free public
Okay,
Wi-Fi.
but let's just hold on. But let's just what cybersecurity would you need on your phone?
So all cybersecurity can be broken as well, depending on the level of the hacker that you're facing. Okay, so VPNs can all be broken. I know in Dubai you have problems about VPNs and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
how
we
they
can't
are
use
now.
WhatsApp calls
can't
without
use
a VPN.
WhatsApp, without a VPN and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
but VPNs are legal to use in Dubai.
Yeah, so they're illegal. Yeah,
they're illegal to use. People use them, but they're illegal to use.
So here in the UK, I mean, I would advise people that you have to use a VPN. And the reason being is because we are under masses of attack. Or when you go on the open web, at any point you can lose your information, your session time, all of these things. Someone like Solomon can be sitting in the background and monitoring everything. Yeah, so it's really important to understand what those processes are. And I know that they're illegal in a lot of the Middle East. Yeah.
So a VPN will help protect.
Yeah, VPN helps to protect you. It's a
because it doesn't give away your identity.
Doesn't give away your identity. Yes, they can be used for malicious purposes. Okay, but if you've got good hacking teams in the background, you can unmask them if you're government level. I can unmask a VPN with Solomon. He eats them for breakfast. So,
so we should use the what else should we have? Because you should have these Norton antivirus and all this kind of stuff.
You should have some form of. I don't advise any products in the marketplace, okay? So I don't endorse anything, because if you're in my position where we are, we know the breakage points of these companies. We know how to break them. I wouldn't want to say, you should get that one, because you just know somewhere along the line, someone's going to say, you said get this one, and look, this happened to me. Yeah, it's even happened to me with, I used LastPass, which got caught in a hack. But it's understanding what information you've got to give them, or what sites that they're on, like on LinkedIn, for instance. I always get people coming up to me and going, we got your email address. No, you didn't. You got an email address that I wanted you to get. Why would you think I set it up? I set that up in the beginning like that because I'm aware of my security processes and how they work, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about understanding that stuff and understanding what our individual need is with data and how
should people have their banking apps on their phones?
A big tier 1 bank spends an absolute fortune on making that app safe. Okay. If you get caught because of your bank are going to stand on it, because they're a reputable company that has been around for centuries, that has the backing of the financial government institutions behind it.
Got it.
That enables you. It's not cryptocurrency that's not regulated and stands on nothing that tomorrow can drop like that. Yeah, and this is what people don't understand about this stuff. They're getting, I'm a crypto investor. Oh yeah, that's great. You money off of it, but what have you got? You swapped your Reddies you swapped regulated stuff for non-regulated stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You took a risk.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you say, that's a gamble. Yeah, So I don't like crypto. I don't play in that world because I understand the darkness of that market, and I've been criticised over the past for saying that, but it's just a reality. And anyone who wants to ever see anything about it, come and I'll show you how dark it can be if you want. Yeah. Because there's lots of bad things bought on that, and I don't wish to make money because I changed.
Well, that thing happened the other day, didn't it, with Ethereum? There was people buying Ethereum that disappeared into an account that was nothing. Yeah. I've had it with mine, okay? So a lot of fake accounts have been set up on the back of my mind because I talk about investing and money on my social media. So these accounts, my account is Spencer.Lodge on Instagram, for example, and there's been Spencer.Lodge and a million variations. They then reach out to all of my audience and say, and comment in my posts, and then reach out to my audience and are essentially saying, Bitcoin deal, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now, some of those people respond to me and say, Spence, is that you?
Yeah.
And sometimes they respond to me and say, Spence, is that not your account too? And I'm like, it's not my account.
Yeah.
Oh, but I gave $2,000
Exactly.
to these people. And I'm like, well, who are they?
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, but Spence, that's your account. I'm like, it's not, mine's got a blue tick on it.
Yeah.
But they still gave the 2,000 because the guy sounded, the messaging sounded like it was from me.
Exactly. And that, like, look, crypto's going to become regulated, which is a great position for it to be in, yeah? Because anyone who's serious about crypto will be thinking, oh, the regulation's going to be good. Because it can only be good for those of you that are already in it. Because the ones that are not going to like it ain't going to want to prove where their money's to come from. And that's just the reality of it, yeah? But the ones of us that are decent, are hardworking, honest money into it, why would you worry about it being regulated? It's only going to improve the service that we got. And it's actually quite funny. I find all these things quite funny. To think that we haven't had digital money. We've had it for ages. Not many places are taking cash anymore anyway, are there? Most of us, even the shops that are taking cash, we tap. Wave pay.
I'm here this week in London, okay? I remember for many, many years, when I landed at the airport, I'd go to the cash machine, get 300 or 400 quid out to keep in my pocket to pay for whatever I needed to pay for,
Don't need it now.
I don't need any cash anymore.
No. The banks have made it easy.
Dangerous as well, because we spend money like crazy because we just tap, and that's on its own a different conversation. But we're not using money in the way that we would count the Reddies out when I was a kid, or your nan would put a £5 in your birthday card and you'd be like, "It's me £5."
Well, and you can actually see it. Yeah, it's got more value when you hold it. You hold it in cash. If
you go to a pub and you order a round of drinks, do you remember? I don't really remember this. I'm 53, so. Not the whip. It was like the bar would be busy. Yeah. You'd lean across the bar and you'd hold your note. Yeah. You'd kind of crease it down the middle, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you do it with a card.
You do it with your card. You'd hold your note.
Yeah.
And that round, let's say that round that you bought was, and you had a 20 quid, it was 21 quid.
Yeah.
You'd be like, fucking hell. You'd be scrambling around for a pound coin, yeah?
Exactly.
And you'd be like, God, that was expensive, wasn't it? Now.
You don't see it.
That's the thing.
You don't
that
see
21 quid is whether your card with your tap phone.
Society.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And like that's what, as a criminal, I understood all that stuff. I still understand all that stuff today of how you can manipulate all that, because most people don't even check their bank statements anymore. Mm-hmm. Most people are not checking their bank statements, Like I go through mine regularly and I'm horrified. Oh no, I spent that there. Like, oh no, like that come out of my account. You have apps that take money out of your account. It's so much like, think of the amount of lost money that we get that we don't even realise is coming out. So
we have every 3 months, me and my PA sit down and go through the money that's coming out on apps.
Yeah.
And cancel them and whatnot.
Yeah.
What did I sign for there? How did I get that?
I know, but you've signed up to something in the background that you didn't realise you signed up for. $6.99 a month. You just didn't realise it. Unless you go into your apps and scroll down permissions and go subscriptions, you'll see, oh, wow. Look, it's quite it's another good one to always.
It's another one, the restaurant scam. So you go to a restaurant, let's say there's me and you, and let's say there's 6 of us. We go for dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of bottles of wine, nice evening, nothing loud, rowdy, just nice evening, nice steak and chips or whatever, yeah? And we leave the restaurant and we call the bill.
Yeah.
And the bill comes and there's 3 blokes and 3 ladies.
Yeah.
And so the 3 blokes, so we'll just split it.
Yeah.
Okay. The first person grabs the bill.
Yeah.
And let's say the bill is £300.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 300 quid, 10% tip, that's 30 quid, 330 quid. So it's 110 each, all right? Yeah. You all right with that? You all right with that? Yeah, fine. We all chuck our cards in the middle.
Yeah.
No one really checks the bill.
Yeah.
And that bill could be £300, but it could be £300 because they put 4 desserts on them when we only had 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and when there's a bunch of sides that wasn't included, or they put a more expensive bottle of wine. How often would you pick up the bottle of wine I ordered and go, Spence, that's the Cabernet Sauvignon, but you ordered the Merlot that's 20 quid cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, that they happen, but they're obviously those sort of scams are in much lower capacity.
That happens every single day.
You've got more of a chance of someone going in the UK, a dodgy roofer, telling you that you've got a dodgy bit on your roof and I need to get up there and have a look, and then charging you an absolute fortune than something like that happening, Like you've got so many, my wife works in a big retailers and she was telling me the other day that they've got this guy that's going around for itch cream for his feet, right? So he walks in with 2 itch creams. Now each itch cream is 30 quid, right? Or 20 quid.
What's itch cream?
Itch cream, like for your toes if you've got something wrong with your foot. So as he walks into the store, he's taking off his sock and his shoe, going, look at what your cream's done to my foot. Look at what your cream's done to my foot. Socially engineering them in a moment. And now she's in a position where she has to give him a refund because the creams that he's got
Yeah.
He's saying has got from the store, but he's got no receipt, right? So then she gives him the refund. The geezer walks out the door and steals on the way out 2 more packets of the foot cream. And then he goes into another store and he does the exact same procedure. And so there are thousands of these types of things.
Okay, well, I've
every
got to own
day.
up to a scam then that I did once. When I was a kid, we lived in a place called Southwood and Ferris. I was really young, and across the road to where we lived was an Asda.
Yeah.
And I went into the Asda, and high-tech trainers, so it's like, it wasn't like I was in fancy Nikes and whatnot, yeah? And I've seen the high-tech trainers, and they've got the prices with the price gun.
Yeah.
And the price was $7.99.
Yeah.
Let's say. So I go and pay $7.99 for them. I don't have the receipt, but I've also picked up a price tag of $13.99.
Yeah.
All right. And I've put that onto the thing, taken the $7.99 and put that on. I go out of the Asda because I'm paying $7.99, go back to customer services at the front 20 minutes later and say, these don't fit. My mum says, and I'd get my $13.99 back from my $7.99 purchase.
Yeah.
So I did that once. I came out of the Asda and I thought I was a criminal genius.
Yeah. Well, it's called refund fraud.
Huh?
It's called refund fraud.
Okay, is that what it's called?
That's what it's called.
So then I went, again, I'm probably 12 years old. I can't remember, 13 years old.
Yeah.
I then go back in an hour later, do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And the lady says to me, "Do you not come in a little while ago with this problem?"
Yeah.
Like that. And I'm, but these for my mum. And my mum said, and she went, "Come with me." And they took me up to an office out the back and they said, "Give us your phone number. We're going to call your mum."
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously my world collapsed in those 5 minutes and I got a load of
you're not a real
shit.
criminal. Because a real criminal would have gone, "Go away, mate. Bye, I'm off."
Ah, okay.
Like, why would you go with them? Who are they?
Yeah.
But as I said to you, criminals get taught things as they're growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not taught that. You come from a different background, so it's different. It's a great thing that you worked out. So there are, companies struggle with that. If you're a big, massive retailer that has multi-layered flooring, shoplifters walk in, just pick stuff up, put it in a bag, and walk straight up to the counter. "Can I get a refund?" And it happens everywhere. Your mistake was you went back to the same one. You move out. You don't stay in your same area.
Yeah, I don't know.
You go out and you move out. And that's what criminals do. That's why they're, loss prevention guys look at all different layers of how they're being targeted, from train lines to bus routes to taxi routes to all of that stuff, because it's really important to understand the risks that you face in a business above it. If you're looking at it from a top position, you can see where all of the issues come from. It's so easy.
Look, when I think about your story, we've gone through this. You've grown up in an environment. You've become a criminal. You've been on the run. You go to jail. Your kind of transformational moment is your son crying as he sees his dad and he's ashamed and you're ashamed and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, now time for change. And then you've gone on to create a business and a success story by trying to help others make sure that people can't do what you were doing to them, essentially, all those years ago. You must be really proud and pleased with the progress that you've made and how your world has evolved.
I can't even think about it. Why would I think about that? We're not done.
But you'll never be done.
No. There's a whole load of stuff to be done first. Yeah, we can't think about success. I hate all that success stuff. Yeah, I hate it when people go, "Do you? You must feel really proud." I'm like, I ain't done nothing. What are you going on about? I'm just being me. Like, stop saying that, because it's not about that. Yeah, all I'm trying, because
But if you were to work out how much you'd saved companies over the course of the years you've been doing it, the numbers are in the millions, I'm sure. Yeah,
easily. But it's that's the business part of it. Yeah, that's just what allows me to do things like this, to be relaxed enough that I can earn money for my family legitimately and not have to worry about looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes. Am I going to go to jail? Is this going to happen? That side of the business allows me to be me. What I love about it is I carved out a role that didn't exist. Yeah, I rob banks basically for a living. Right, it's quite a unique thing to do. I'm really bloody good at it, yeah. And over the years, I've only got better. And because now I understand the processes that these guys have got in there, I'm a lot better at showing them of where they can get better at stopping stuff, right? That's just the business aspect of it. The other side of what I do is underworld TV that I don't really talk about, but that's really the big boomer in the background that allows everything else to happen.
Okay, talk to me about it.
So Underworld is mine and Adam's baby. So Adam and I, who's my business partner, my main business, well, not my main one, but he's the guy that I started everything with, yeah? So Adam and I started We Fight Fraud, and we also started Underworld. It all starts when me and him just got on with like brothers, yeah? And like, he's older, he's a couple of years older than you, but he's just so clever. He's the most fantastic human you could ever wish to meet. Yeah, he's just got this beautiful nature about him that allows any situation, no matter how stressful it is, for us to talk about things. And so because he believes in me and he's got the capability to make what's in my mind happen, he's made things happen that have been amazing. So I got to make a show we started on a journey with a guy. You can still see this on YouTube. It's called Sorry I Shot You. And it's about a young gangbanger from Leytonstone called Dean Stanbury. Dean Stanbury, yeah. He's a great rapper. I love Dean, yeah. Amazing guy. Like, again, changed his life around, out there trying to do so much stuff for the kids and really push a narrative. But when you learn about Dean's story and why he's in the position, it's the same problem that we've always spoke about. There's lots of trauma there, yeah? Mm-hmm. That would then move on to another show that I made for Channel 4 called What Makes a Murderer. And What Makes a Murderer is a look at 3 convicted murderers, all of whom have spent time. Britain's longest serving murderer, John Massey's in there as well. Another guy called Anthony Powell and a guy called Paul Aldridge. Yeah, so all 3 of the contributors spent, over 20 years in prison. John spent over 40 years in prison. When you realise, look at the trauma as kids, look at all the same stuff that I've got, all the same areas. We're to this day, we're still all friends. I still talk to all 3 of them regularly. I still have regular catch-ups with all of them. I try and help them as much as I possibly can. And they try and help me as much as they possibly can, because when you understand the journey of those people, and that goes back to what it's all about, it's not about me. It's about, I want to show you other people to show you where this problem is. And if we really, as society, if we really want to impact on crime, yeah, because as society, all of us want to do that, whether you're criminal, gangster, gang, whatever it is that you're in, as society, surely we all want to get better. Because every day now when I wake up is all I want to do is be better than what I was yesterday. Mm-hmm. That's all I can do every day, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's all I've got. So as long as we're doing things like that, you can impact and you can start to create a little bit of change, a little bit of whatever, a little bit of where you're going. But you have to get to the people that have the power to get the change, and that takes time. It takes processes. It takes understanding, because they don't just let anyone at the table. Yeah, you've got to be conforming to how they want you to do it. And I'm quite awkward with certain things. I don't want it to be done in that way, because I know how we have to talk to the people like me, because you couldn't talk to me before. I'm not even sure that I could go and talk to my old self. It's a real skill. Yeah. And so again, all you can do is show them the possibilities of where you could go, the bad side of what it might look like on the bad side. But over here, moving up, there's so many opportunities for you if you really want to take note. This is the time. Right now is the time for all of these kids, because of the way the media is trying to make it better. You can get in. Go and try and be something different. Companies will accept you. They want to know. They want to see you. And that's how you can start to get better as a society. This country is so divided here. Yeah, we're a mad divided country, considering we're probably the most multicultural country, one of them on the planet for sure, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone's divided. What sort of behaviour is this? How are we humans? We're not even interacting properly with each cultures, with everyone. We should all be doing this stuff, and we're just not. Yeah, and all the time we're divided, we're ruled, we're governed, we have to lose all that, and we've got to be part of what we can truly be if we really want to move forward as society. And I think that, in the past, it was hard to get to those positions, but the movements of things, the middle classes are definitely more interested in how they can help and get involved and try and make things happen. Yeah, because I've seen it. I've been privy to some of these conversations in the past that I've heard where they're trying to do stuff. So, and there's lots of great stuff being done by great people out there to help impact these levels of crimes. But the reality of all of it is we just need to understand each other better. And if we understand each other better, then perhaps we can get a better movement over here. Because until we do, we haven't tried that. We tried everything else. Mm-hmm. We haven't tried it. Why? it just doesn't make sense to me. So like, these are things where I think the impact can be done, not by people saying, I'm going to teach kids and I'm going to show kids and I'm going to do this and it's me, I'm doing this, like all that stuff. What have you done? Like, where are we going with all this stuff? And like, if you're only in it for yourself, you're only going to get yourself somewhere. You're not going to take the whole other people or get them to a place where they need to go. Let them go first. Like, push that, I don't push myself in the limelight like a lot of people do. Yeah. Like, I got approached a couple of weeks ago by Shine TV, right? Shine Endemol, yeah? Doing a TV program on prison. Would you like to go in prison for 9 days so you can talk to MPs? And I said, I already talked to them. Why would I need to go into a prison? And what? Are you going to pay me for this? And they said, oh, no, we're not paying no one for it. So I said, so hold on a minute. You want me to go back to an extremely traumatic experience, go into it, give you myself and everything, but I'm not worthy of being paid? What's that? Like, how much giving do you expect people to do? And how much, like, when you come from nothing, when you don't have anything, when you've got no money, and a lot of these people that they try and get into these shows, they don't have nothing, so they dangle the fame carrot, yeah, but they're just going to get used. They'll be used by how they get used. And I'm just not willing to do that because I'm not willing to sacrifice what I really stand for. It doesn't matter, change will happen in the right way, not because of how it's done and how people think they're going to create change. It's not like that. So we have to just get better at understanding that, I think, and understanding what we are as people, I hate the label, you're a convicted criminal. It's so funny, Man-made words, man-made rules. I'm a human. People say to me, where'd you come from? I say, Earth. What? I don't, what? I said, I'd done a really funny one the other day. I was on a call and I said to this guy, I've read this book. Oh my God, this book's amazing. And he was like, what book is it? I said, I don't know the name of it. I said, but it's like, it shows you a load of lines across land and roads and all these lines that go everywhere. And he went, what? I said, hold on, it's called the A to Z. And he just burst out laughing, yeah? Because I said, the A to Z is a perfect example of how man decides what we're going to name and divide up and carve up this bit, give this person that person that. That's greed. We're going back round on the Monopoly board.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not stupid. I don't fall for that because I know that, hold on, that's just a myth. That's a big, scary myth, yeah? I'm a person. I'm a human. I done stuff because I'd suffered. It's not an excuse. It happened, yeah? I didn't ask for any of it to happen. If I would have been born in different circumstances, I've got experts, doctors, professors that tell me if you was born in a different circumstance, you'd be in government, mate.
Look, the evidence I got on something similar to that was when we did our work on human trafficking, and Homeland Security in the States were on the podcast, and they said that 500,000 kids a year go missing in America. 75% of them are from the foster care system. Yeah. And that's the
Easy
upbringing.
pickings.
Easy pickings. Then we had all of the schools in Canada, the indigenous people of Canada, so the Inuits, had all their kids taken away and put into these schools, and these schools were then run by Catholic priests and nuns. And there's 1,400 schools, and they've already dug up something like 600 shallow graves of these kids that were killed, and the memories of the brothers and sisters that had to bury their own siblings, took place. We then get the one from a human trafficking point of view that really gets me is people don't understand the Rotherham and the Rochdale stuff that took place a few years ago. All of those kids from care homes.
Yeah,
and so there's clearly a connection to this problem that isn't being solved. These traumas that young people face and they go through, this life that they live. My example is, in really simple terms, not criminal. When I was 7 years old, my mum and dad got divorced, and my dad left. And I said to myself, never will I ever get divorced if I get married. My dad was married to my mum for 6 years. I was married to my wife for 5 years. I repeated exactly the same thing.
Learned behaviour.
learnt behaviour. That's right. And so you can't help, but try and unlearn that. And you don't necessarily unlearn that until you're much older and much wiser, until you could recognise that it is what it is.
And you're going to beat yourself up madly when you're younger.
Yeah.
Like, you can't help it. You beat yourself up, without realising that, look, I shouldn't really be building myself up. I should learn and understand that, look, that's why I'm like that. Of course it is, And even when you realise it, unwinding it and actually talking about it actually happened. So on What Makes a Murderer, before the contributors go in and do anything, they have to go through a process, So like nowadays, because of all the stuff that's happened on TV, with all the backlash of things that happen, you have to have a really good process in place, aftercare team, and you have to have processes, like you have to go on courses because you're going to be dealing with these people. So the psychologist, I said, I'll go through all the tests because I'm the only criminal on the team, the ex-criminal on the team of producers, I'll go through the test, and then afterwards, that unbeknown to me, the girl that I was talking to, she went to the other producers and the executive producer and Adam, who was an executive producer, and she said, I think I've just triggered some trauma with Tony. You need to watch him. So Ad comes straight to me and was like, "You all right?" Because he's like my brother. "Are you all right?" Like, I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Like, don't be stupid. What's she going on about?" She said, "Wally, I've dealt with this thing my whole life." And then on the train, with me and the other producer, Fallon, who's amazing. I love Fallon, she's a great producer. We're going to see John, and we have to get a train from Old Street up to John's at Camden. And on the train, we're talking, and I just get the right hump. And she's just, where all this stuff has come out, she says one thing, I'll just go mental at her, Like, just go, just start saying. She's like, because she knows what's happened, they've told her.
Yeah.
She's aware of it, but we've got off to say, she went, "Got that off your chest?" Like, I'm half crying and everything, because like, it's mad when you trigger it, no matter how tough you think you are, and like, I don't mind, I'll cry anyway, I don't care about all that, I'm happy with who I am, and the emotions, you can't help them from coming out, because they're problems and trauma that's making its way out of my body that I need to get rid of, So when that stuff happens, I was just like, "Oh my God, Fallon, I'm so sorry, oh no," like, it's the realisation of, damn, I messed up, and like, knowing that that's just triggered it, not being able to soothe it for all the years previously to that, you idiot, I should have just gone and dealt with it years ago, because once I let that go, I can start talking like I'm talking now. I wasn't like this before. I was more reserved and more calculating about what I would say, whereas now, I don't care, I've let it go, I've got no worries about any of it. I don't care what secrets come out, because I'll put them all out there. It's irrelevant to the situation. I wrote a book and put the whole lot out there in my book. Beat that. It's like what Eminem does in that thing. Tell them something they don't know about me, and he drops the mic. That's the best way. Because then if you tell everyone everything, it's all out there for everyone to see. Judge me now. Like, and that. There's
also a great sense of what's the word I'm looking for when you do that?
Relief.
Relief is a great word to use as well. It's just like when there's no lies. Nothing can be caught out. It's like the guy that's living the secret double life with two wives, or having the affair and whatnot, and he's got to constantly cover up his steps and whatnot. Gets to a point where it's just like, it's too much. It's too much. I
mean, Abagnale was, going back to him. He's got the exact same thing. His mum has an affair with a guy that he then sees the affair happening, and before you know it, he's got a sister that he don't know about. Like, that is traumatizing to a child. And because the whole tax thing, I can kind of understand how his journey went. So for me, when I've watched Catch Me If You Can, going back to what you said, it was inspirational, because like, to see him, Leonardo DiCaprio, because obviously later on we find out a few things about Frank that are not so good and not so cool. He's been told a few porky pies, which I think is hilarious. He's a fraudster. Of course he's going to have told a few porky pies. If he's clever, I've told a few porky pies. And the reason being is, I don't want you to know the truth. Why would I want you to know the truth? You could crucify me with it. I have to change things a little bit. So please give me some credit and understand what you're dealing with. Like, that's the reality of this thing. And he's done the exact same thing. So he can't, how can he? So I admire him for coming out. I understand how hard it must have been for him. And now, 10 years into my journey of all this loss prevention, I mean, it's a very different era. What I do is very different. It's similar, because I can dip into his era, but he can't dip into mine. Yeah, this is like a totally different thing over here that he's not aware of, that he wouldn't know as one, and he and plus he wanted the camera and the fame. Yeah, so like, you know, I constantly change myself, my image, like how I look all the time, because I'm aware that I'm out there breaking into banks. The last thing I want is going into a bank. It happened. So a guy from a bank saw another podcast that I'd done and was like, sure you've come in. So like I have to be really careful, yeah. So but like I respect what he's done, and he was definitely inspirational to where I wanted to go, because he showed me more than anything that it's possible. Yeah, not because I'm admirable of what he's done, but more in the fact of, wow, what you've done, I could actually probably do. And can we bring it to modern day? And could we try this? But, you know, getting him, when the police want you, they come for you, mate. That's how it goes.
Tony, it's been really an absolute pleasure listening to your story and loving the fact that you've got a mindset of trying to make an impact in a really positive and constructive way. And the thing that I like the most is like, well, don't say success. We're not even done yet. Yeah. I really like that.
So it's true. Like,
it is true,
yeah.
But thank you so much for coming and sharing on the show. And I hope that everyone in Dubai, I know you've been there loads of times, but everyone in Dubai that listens to this, and watches this, finds a new fondness for you.
I hope
and
so.
And we'll welcome you with warm arms if you come over again.
Great stuff. Thank you for having me, Spencer. Thank you.